How many times have you found yourself giving everything, your energy, time, and effort, to someone who barely gave you the same in return? You chase, you bend over backward, you explain your worth, and yet they still pull away, still take, still leave you empty. But here's a harsh truth you need to hear. The more you give, the more they take. And the more they take, the less of yourself you're left with. But what if I told you there's a powerful shift you can make? What if you could stop playing the game of emotional supply and demand and start reclaiming your power? What if you didn't have to beg for their attention, approval, or love? What if you could simply cut them off and then watch them beg for your energy again? This isn't about being petty, vengeful, or cold. It's about understanding your true worth and harnessing that power like a stoic. It's about cutting off those who drain you, focusing on your own evolution, and becoming someone so focused, so unstoppable, that they can't help but crave your presence again. You might be thinking, that sounds great, but how do I get there? Well, that's exactly what I'm about to show you. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll understand exactly how to reclaim your power and transform your life. Ready to stop begging and start building? Let's go. 1. Cutting them off is not cruel, it's command. Think about it for a second. How many times have you stayed connected to someone who didn't treat you right, who didn't reciprocate your energy, and who barely made an effort when you gave everything? Now ask yourself, why did you stay? Was it because you thought they needed you? Was it because you felt guilty, like you owed them something? Or maybe, just maybe, you were convinced that if you kept showing up, kept giving your energy, that somehow they'd change, right? But here's the harsh truth. When you keep feeding into that kind of one-sided connection, all you're really doing is draining yourself. You are the one who ends up empty. You end up with nothing to give to yourself. And when that happens, you become so caught up in the cycle of chasing them, pleasing them, waiting for them to acknowledge your worth, that you forget to see your own value. Cutting someone off isn't cruel. It's actually one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. It's not a punishment to them, it's an act of command. It's you saying, enough is enough. It's you taking back the reins of your life and your energy. When you keep giving someone who is not investing in you the chance to drain you, you're essentially giving them permission to abuse your time and your resources. And what makes it worse is that they don't even have to ask. You just keep handing it over. Cutting them off is not about making them suffer. It's about protecting your peace, your energy, and your purpose. It's about preserving your value in a world where people will take, without ever giving anything back. And let's be real. Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who take the most from us. The ones we would bend over backwards for, the ones we feel we need to save, are often the ones who will drain us dry. But you've got to understand, love is not about self-sacrifice, it's about self-preservation. You cannot be your best self if you're always pouring from an empty cup. By cutting them off, you are not just protecting yourself, you are honoring yourself. When you cut off someone who drains you, you stop being a doormat. You stop being a person who can be walked all over, used up and discarded. You become someone who commands respect, someone who understands that their time and energy are too valuable to waste on someone who has never shown true appreciation for it. Think about the idea of Stoic relationships. In Stoicism, we understand that we cannot control others, but we can control our responses and how we protect our inner peace. Cutting off toxic people doesn't make you cruel, it makes you wise, it makes you strong. In fact, the more you allow someone to disrespect you, the more you disrespect yourself. By choosing to cut them off, you're choosing to command your life back. You're choosing to take control. Think about this. When you stop giving, when you stop chasing, when you finally let go of trying to make someone see your worth, they start to feel your absence. They start to wonder what happened, why you stopped showing up, why you stopped caring. And here's the kicker, they will feel it. Not because you made a big dramatic scene, not because you yelled or demanded they give you more, but because you simply walked away and stopped handing them your energy. That silence, that absence, becomes the loudest message they've ever received. When your energy goes quiet, their minds start screaming. They'll be forced to sit with their own guilt, confusion, and regret. They'll have no one to blame but themselves. And here's another truth that you need to remember. Most people don't value what they have until it's gone. They don't realize your worth until they can no longer access it. And by the time they wake up to that reality, you'll be so far gone, so focused on your own growth, that they won't even recognize you. This isn't about revenge. It's about taking back your power. It's about reclaiming your life. You're not disappearing because you're weak. You're disappearing because you've realized that the only way to elevate yourself is to stop giving your energy to people who have no intention of appreciating it. You're reclaiming your time, your focus, your peace, and your purpose. This is how Stoicism plays into your relationships. In Stoic thinking, we acknowledge that while we can't control the actions of others, we can always control how we respond to them. You control your response, and you decide what you will or won't tolerate. By cutting someone off, you are choosing to respond with wisdom, not weakness. You're protecting your energy, not out of malice, but out of self-respect. And let me tell you, there's nothing cruel about self-respect, nothing at all. In fact, the cruelest thing you can do is continue allowing someone to drain you, to use you, to manipulate your kindness. So stop right now. Stop waiting for them to change. Stop hoping they will realize how great you are. Stop trying to convince them that you're worth the effort. They either see it or they don't. And if they don't, it's time to let them go. Because when you cut them off, you are not just walking away from them. You are walking toward a version of yourself that values your own energy more than anything else. That's the real power move. Cutting them off is not an act of cruelty. It's an act of reclaiming your life. It's about saying no to the people who have taken advantage of you for far too long, and yes to a future where your energy is respected and cherished. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop performing for their approval, when you stop giving them everything you've got, that's when you will feel the shift. You will start to feel your own power returning, and the moment you feel that shift, they will feel it too. They'll feel your absence like a cold wind, and they won't know how to handle it. They'll start chasing after you, trying to get back in, trying to re-establish their hold on your energy. But by then, you'll be too focused, too strong, too evolved to even entertain them. You will have moved on, and the person they once took for granted will be long gone. Now ask yourself this, do you really want to continue pouring your energy into someone who will never value it? Or do you want to start putting that energy back into yourself, into your growth, into your evolution, until you become so powerful that they'll beg to have access to it again? The choice is yours. Choose wisely. 2. Silence speaks louder than words. It's something you've probably experienced, even if you didn't recognize it at the time. When you stop reaching out, stop responding to their messages, stop chasing after them, suddenly they're the ones who start to notice. They panic. They wonder what happened. They begin to question why you stopped caring, stopped giving them your energy. And that's when the real magic happens. They realize just how much they took from you. They realize just how valuable your energy was. The key here is silence. Not just any kind of silence, but the kind that comes after you've given everything. And then, for the first time, you take it all back. We live in a world where people are used to constant noise. We're used to filling the space with words, thoughts, actions, and endless messages. We think that the louder we are, the more we're heard. But let me tell you something. Sometimes, the loudest thing you can do is go completely silent. In the context of Stoic relationships, silence is not weakness, it's power. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your actions, when you stop seeking approval or validation, that's when people start to feel the impact of your absence. It's like walking into a room that's been filled with noise for hours, and then suddenly it goes completely quiet. The silence is deafening, and that silence is a reflection of your energy being pulled back. It's no longer available for them to use and manipulate. It's like a vacuum, and they feel it in the pit of their stomachs. The power of silence is something most people don't understand until they experience it themselves. It's not just about not speaking. It's about creating space for your own growth, your own evolution, without any external distractions or influences. When you stop filling up every moment with communication, when you stop showing up to meet their needs, that's when you start showing up for yourself. And that, my friend, is when you begin to see the real transformation in your life. You start to rebuild. You start to focus on things that matter. You start to understand that your value isn't dependent on how much you give, but rather on how much you keep for yourself, how much you preserve your energy for the things that truly matter. Now, imagine the person you've cut off. They might start to reach out again, trying to get your attention, trying to bring you back into their orbit. They might send a message, leave a comment, or even try to get you to engage in some way. But here's where your stoic mindset comes into play. Don't respond. Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they've affected you. Don't let them pull you back into their world. Your silence will drive them crazy, and that's exactly what you want. You're not doing this to hurt them. You're doing it to protect your peace. You're doing it because you understand that your energy is precious and you're no longer willing to give it to people who don't value it. So, here's the question I want you to think about. When was the last time you went completely silent? In a relationship, when was the last time you didn't feel the need to explain yourself, to justify your actions, or to keep pursuing someone who wasn't pursuing you? And if you haven't done that yet, what's stopping you? I know it can feel uncomfortable at first, but trust me, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop feeding their ego, that's when you'll feel the shift. That's when your silence becomes the most powerful tool you have. If you're liking this so far, if this is resonating with you, go ahead and hit that like button right now. And if you want more content that will help you reclaim your power, get focused, and stop wasting your energy on the wrong people, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This journey is just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now, as you sit with this idea of silence, think about how you can start applying it to your own life. Where can you pull back? Where can you start to protect your energy? And how can you use the power of your silence to create space for your own evolution? The answer isn't in your words, but in your actions. So, stay quiet, stay focused, and let them feel the storm of your absence. Let them feel the weight of your silence. It'll drive them mad, and by the time they realize what they've lost, you'll be too far ahead for them to catch up. 3. Your focus is your superpower. The moment you realize that your focus is more valuable than anything else, that's the moment your life begins to change. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself distracted by people who don't deserve your energy, your thoughts, or your time? How often have you let someone else's actions, words, or energy dictate how you feel, how you react, and how you spend your precious time? It happens to the best of us, especially when we're caught up in relationships that drain us. We find ourselves giving our attention to the wrong people, and in doing so, we lose sight of our own goals, our own dreams, and most importantly, our own power. The truth is, your focus is the most dangerous weapon you have, because it has the ability to shape your future. It has the power to elevate you, to push you forward, and to propel you into a version of yourself that others will be left scrambling. to keep up with. When you shift your focus from them back onto yourself, that's when everything changes. That's when you stop being a puppet, pulled in every direction by the whims of others, and start becoming the master of your own life. Your focus is like a laser beam. It can either be scattered and weak, or it can be sharp and intense, capable of cutting through any distractions in its path. When you focus on what truly matters, your personal growth, your career, your goals, you become unstoppable. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone, and you certainly don't need their validation. In fact, the moment you stop performing for others, that's when the real power shift happens. The moment you stop chasing after their approval and instead focus on your own evolution, that's when you begin to attract the right energy back into your life. People don't realize how magnetic someone can be until that person stops chasing. The moment you stop giving your attention to someone who doesn't appreciate it, that's when they start to feel the withdrawal. They start to feel it in the form of confusion, regret, and panic. They begin to wonder why you stopped. They try to decode what's happening, and the more they think about it, the more they realize that you've moved on. But here's the thing. They won't just miss your presence. They'll miss the version of themselves that was made better by you. You were their source of validation, their emotional crutch, the one who made them feel important, seen, and valued. And now that you've shifted your focus, they can't understand why you're no longer there to prop them up. What they don't realize is that by redirecting your focus onto yourself, you're no longer just a mirror reflecting their worth. You've become a force in your own right. The truth is, people only take notice when they realize that you're no longer available for their emotional drama. When you stop reacting to their games, stop waiting for their texts, and stop trying to make them see your worth, that's when they start to panic. But by then, you'll have already moved on to a better version of yourself. When you become so locked into your own goals, your own growth, and your own purpose, you become untouchable. You stop being accessible to people who have shown they don't value your energy. And this, my friend, is where the real power lies. In Stoic philosophy, we're taught that it's not about what happens to us, but how we respond. Our response, our focus, is our greatest weapon. When we take control of our attention and put it toward things that truly matter, things that elevate us, we stop giving power to the wrong people. We stop letting their games, their distractions, and their drama dictate how we live. Instead, we take control of our own narrative. This is how you regain your power. This is how you stop giving away your energy to people who will never appreciate it. When you choose to focus on your own personal growth, your own happiness, and your own evolution, you become a magnet for everything that's meant for you. And let me tell you, people will notice. They will feel your absence, and they will begin to wonder how they ever took you for granted. They'll try to come back, but by then, you will have moved so far beyond them that they won't even recognize the person you've become. So ask yourself, what would happen if you shifted your focus today? What would happen if you stopped giving your energy to people who only take and started putting that energy into yourself? The answer is simple. You would become a force of nature. You would become the person others crave to be around, but they'll never get access to again. And that's the power of focus. When you focus on yourself, you become unstoppable, and everything else falls into place. Don't let anyone distract you. Don't let anyone steal your focus. Because when you master this, when you master your ability to redirect your energy, there's nothing in the world that can stand in your way. You'll become the version of yourself that others wish they could have, but by then, you'll have moved on to bigger and better things. This is the shift. This is the power of focus. And once you understand it, once you tap into it, you'll never go back. So the next time someone tries to drain you, the next time someone takes your attention for granted, remember, your focus is your superpower. Don't let them take it from you. Protect it, nurture it, and use it to become the person You were always meant to be. 4. Stop performing for their validation. You've been there before. You've been the one constantly trying to prove yourself, trying to get someone to see your worth, trying to get them to appreciate what you bring to the table. You've spent hours crafting the perfect message, replaying past conversations, overthinking every word, every move. But here's the thing, you've been performing for an audience that wasn't even paying attention. The validation you seek is not in their approval, their praise, or their attention. The truth is, you were playing a game that didn't even have the right players. So let's talk about it. Why do we perform for others? Why do we allow ourselves to get caught in the trap of seeking constant validation from people who either take us for granted or can't even see our true worth? It's simple. We've been conditioned to believe that our value is determined by the way others see us. We've been taught that love, affection, and attention come from being seen and recognized by others. But what happens when the validation we seek never comes? What happens when we realize that the people we've been pouring our energy into aren't even capable of recognizing our true value? It's devastating, isn't it? You start to question yourself. You start to wonder, was I not enough? Or did I do something wrong? But here's the cold, hard truth. You are more than enough. The issue is not you, but the people who failed to see your worth. They didn't deserve your energy. They didn't deserve your performance. And they sure as hell didn't deserve your attention. When you stop performing for their validation, something incredible happens. You start to focus on your own validation. You stop waiting for them to notice you, to love you, to give you what you've been giving them. Instead, you start recognizing your own worth. You start pouring into yourself instead of waiting for someone else to do it for you. This shift is revolutionary, and it's exactly what you need to break free from the cycle of self-doubt and emotional exhaustion. You stop seeking their approval because you realize that you don't need it. You stop putting yourself on display, hoping they'll take notice, because you understand that you are already valuable without their recognition. And here's the thing about Stoic relationships. The Stoic mindset teaches us that our worth is not determined by external validation. It's determined by our internal values, our actions, and our ability to stay grounded in our own truth. Stoicism shows us that the moment we start looking outside of ourselves for validation, we lose our power. So if you want to stop feeling drained, if you want to stop performing for someone who will never appreciate you, you have to learn to validate yourself. You have to start living for you, not for anyone else. Think about it. How much of your energy have you wasted trying to make someone else happy? How much time have you spent performing in relationships that were never going to give you back what you were giving them? Now, imagine a life where you stopped performing. Imagine a life where your happiness, your peace, and your worth are not dependent on someone else's opinion of you. How different would your life be? How much stronger would you feel? How much more empowered would you become? This is where you start to tap into your true power. This is where you begin to take back control, because when you stop performing, you stop giving away your energy to people who don't deserve it. And in that space, you start to grow. You start to focus on yourself, on your own goals, on your own evolution. You start building the life you've always wanted, not for anyone else, but for you. And when you shift your focus to yourself, you become magnetic. You stop chasing after love, attention, and approval, and you start attracting it. The moment you stop performing is the moment you stop being controlled by someone else's expectations. You become your own source of energy. You become the person who sets the tone for their own life. You become the person who no longer needs external validation because you've learned to validate yourself. Let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you stopped performing? What would change if you stopped trying to convince someone of your worth? What would it feel like to live a life that was completely authentic to you, where your validation came from within, not from the approval of others? It would be life-changing, wouldn't it? And here's the kicker. When you stop performing, that's when they start to notice. Not because you're trying to get their attention, but because you've become something they can no longer ignore. They start to see the shift. They start to feel the loss. They start to wonder what happened to the person who used to bend over backward to please them. But by then, it's too late. You've already moved on. You've already elevated yourself to a place where their validation no longer matters. So stop performing, stop seeking their approval, start living for yourself, start validating yourself. And trust me, when you do, the right people will start to take notice. And the wrong ones, well, they'll fall away. Your energy will no longer be wasted on those who don't appreciate it, and you'll begin to attract the kind of people who can recognize your worth. This is your time. This is your moment to stop performing for someone else's validation and start living for yourself. And let me tell you, once you make that shift, there is no going back. You'll never need to perform for anyone again, because the only validation you need is your own. If you're enjoying this video and it's resonating with you, go ahead and hit the like button right now and comment number 1 to show your support. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more powerful content that will help you reclaim your energy and live a life that is authentically yours. The best part of this journey is just beginning, and I promise you won't want to miss what comes next. Keep evolving, keep growing, and remember, you're no longer performing for anyone's approval. You're living for yourself, and that's the greatest power you can have. 5. Transformation is your best message. Imagine for a second, you've been giving, loving, and pouring your energy into someone, yet it feels like they never truly see you. They don't appreciate your efforts, and despite all the sacrifices you make, they still take you for granted. It's frustrating, isn't it? You begin to wonder why it's never enough, why you feel like you're always giving and never receiving. But here's a reality check. The people who fail to recognize your value aren't the ones who deserve to see your transformation. In fact, the best way to show them just how powerful you are is not by talking about your growth or broadcasting your achievements. It's by quietly living it. Your transformation isn't a message you need to announce. It's something you let others witness in the way you show up for yourself. The thing about transformation is this: it's rarely loud. It doesn't need to be. It's not about posting your new accomplishments, showing off how much better you're doing without them, or trying to make them jealous. That's all ego. True transformation happens in silence, in the way you evolve, in the actions you take every single day to become a better version of yourself. The people who really matter will notice your growth, but you won't have to say a word. They'll see it in your confidence, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you no longer need to explain your worth. They'll see it in the way you've stopped chasing them for validation and how now they're the ones trying to chase you. But here's the thing, by the time they realize what they've lost, it won't matter anymore. The person you were when you were constantly seeking their approval is gone. The version of you who stayed small for them, who compromised your peace, who settled for crumbs of affection, that person doesn't exist anymore. You've evolved beyond their reach. And the beauty of this is that you don't need to announce it to anyone. Transformation is a silent power. You don't need to broadcast it because your presence will speak volumes without you saying a word. Think about the moments when you've seen someone go through a significant change in their life, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. The real changes don't require announcements. They don't need to be shouted from the rooftops. You can see them in the person's energy, in the way they carry themselves, in the way they respond to the world. And here's the secret. That's the kind of transformation that drives people crazy. It's not the kind that comes with explanations or justifications. It's the kind that comes from focusing on yourself, nurturing your growth, and quietly becoming the person you were always meant to be. And when people see that, they realize what they've been missing. But by then, they're too late. The most powerful thing you can do is to simply let your transformation unfold without trying to explain it to anyone. This is the essence of Stoicism. In Stoic philosophy, we understand that our actions speak louder than our words. We don't need to prove our worth to others. We simply live in a way that reflects our inner strength and that speaks for itself. When you stop performing for someone else's validation, you stop seeking approval from outside sources, and you begin to live for yourself. This is the true power of Stoicism. It's about focusing on your own internal growth, regardless of how others perceive you. The moment you stop caring whether they see your transformation is the moment you fully embrace your own power. You're not looking for acknowledgement. You're simply living your truth, and that in itself is the most profound transformation you can have. Now let's break this down. How many times have you found yourself waiting for someone to notice how hard you've worked, how much you've changed, or how much better you've become? How many times have you craved that acknowledgement, that recognition for your efforts? The truth is, that kind of validation is fleeting, and it's never going to fulfill you the way you think it will. The real transformation comes when you stop needing it, when you stop needing anyone's approval to feel good about the progress you're making. You start living for yourself. You begin to understand that the only approval you need is your own. That's when the shift happens. So here's the key. If you want to show them what you've become, if you want to show the people who never appreciated you how much they've missed out on, don't try to force them to see it. Just live it. Focus on your goals. Focus on your evolution. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, no matter how they feel about it. Because in the end, your transformation is not for them. It's for you. It's for the person you're becoming, the life you're building, the future you're creating. And when you live for yourself, when you stop explaining your worth to others and start showing up for yourself every single day, that's when you'll see the real magic. People will notice, but they won't be able to understand it because it wasn't for them. It was never for them. It was always for you. Think about the quiet strength of someone who has transformed themselves in ways others can't quite understand. Maybe you've seen people like this in your life, people who've gone through something difficult, yet emerged stronger, more confident, more aligned with their purpose. You never see them making a big deal out of it. They don't need to tell anyone about the changes they've made because their energy speaks for itself. That's the kind of transformation you're capable of. And that's the kind of transformation that drives people who took you for granted crazy. Because by the time they realize what they've lost, they won't be able to find you again. You'll be too far ahead, too focused, too evolved to even entertain the thought of going back to the version of yourself that once needed their approval. The truth is, the best message you can send to those who've underestimated you is not in what you say, but in what you do. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to tell them how much you've changed. You don't need to tell them anything at all. Just keep evolving, keep moving forward. Let your growth speak louder than your words ever could. And trust me, when they see that, when they witness your transformation, it will be too late for them to come back. They'll have missed the chance to be a part of the person you've become. And that, my friend, is the most powerful revenge of all. Not in what you say, but in who you've become. 6. When they come back, don't answer. You've been through the emotional roller coaster. You've given your time, your energy, your heart, and yet they never truly valued you. They took and they took, without giving anything back. And now, when you finally had enough, when you've decided to take your power back, guess what happens? They start coming back. They start texting, they start reaching out, Maybe they send that old "hey stranger" message, or they'll like your photos, trying to spark some kind of attention. But here's the real question. What do you do when they come back? Do you answer? Do you engage? Do you give them a chance to explain, to apologize, to try and get back into your life? Absolutely not. And here's why. When they come back, it's not because they've had a sudden realization of how much they care about you. It's not because they've genuinely changed or because they miss you as a person. They don't miss you. They miss what you gave them. They miss the attention, the validation, the emotional supply they were getting from you. You see, these people don't love you. They love what you do for them. They love how you make them feel, how you fill their emotional void. The moment you stopped giving them that, they felt it. They couldn't handle the withdrawal, and now they're trying to come back to feed on you again. But you've already learned the lesson. You've already realized that you don't need anyone to validate your worth. Your power doesn't come from how much you give to others. It comes from how much you keep for yourself, how much you protect your peace, and how much you stay true to your own values. So when they come back, don't answer, don't engage, don't give them access to your life. Because the truth is, they don't deserve it. Think about the last time someone who mistreated you came back into your life. Maybe it was someone who ghosted you, someone who left without explanation, or someone who only showed up when it was convenient for them. How did you feel when they returned? Was it exciting? Did you feel relief, or did you feel an unsettling sense of discomfort? If you felt discomfort, that's because deep down you knew that nothing had truly changed. They hadn't changed, the situation hadn't changed, and more importantly, your value hadn't changed either. They still don't deserve you. Now imagine a scenario where they come back, and this time you don't flinch. This time you don't feel the urge to respond. You don't feel the need to open that door. You stay calm, composed, and silent. That's because you've evolved. You've grown beyond the version of yourself that felt obligated to respond, to engage, to entertain people who only show up when they need something. By this point, you've shifted your energy. You've realized that you don't need them to feel whole. Your self-worth no longer depends on their validation or approval. And that's a very powerful place to be. People who've misused your energy, who've drained you, don't get to come back into your life just because they've had a moment of realization. The version of you they knew is gone, and they don't get access to the evolved, stronger version that's emerged from all of that pain. This is where Stoic relationships come into play. In Stoicism, we learn to understand that what others do is out of our control. We can't change them. We can't force them to respect us. But what we can control is how we respond to their actions. And in this case, how you respond is simple. You don't respond at all. When you stop reacting to their games, to their attempts to manipulate your emotions, that's when you take back your power. You don't need to give them the satisfaction of knowing they've affected you. The most powerful thing you can do when they come back is to stay focused on your own growth and move forward without them. So when they come back, don't answer. Don't let them back into your life. Don't give them a second chance to take what they didn't value the first time. Instead, keep moving forward. Keep growing. Keep building the life you deserve without them. Because when they come back, they're looking for one thing: to continue feeding off your energy. They don't care about your well-being, your peace, or your happiness. They just want what they can get from you. And you've learned the hard way that your energy is not for sale. It's not for people who will take it for granted, who will leave you empty, and who will only come back when they need something. Your energy is sacred, and once you realize that, once you truly understand your worth, you'll never go back to letting people drain you again. And here's the ultimate truth. When they come back and you don't answer, when you don't allow them to re-enter your life, it will eat them up. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you've done something right. You've chosen yourself. You've chosen to protect your peace, your energy, and your growth. You've chosen not to settle for breadcrumbs anymore. They'll feel your absence. They'll feel the void left by your strength and your decision to not engage. And trust me, that void will hurt more than any text you could have sent. So ask yourself this: when they come back, what will you do? Will you let them in again? Or will you stay true to yourself and keep moving forward? The choice is yours, but remember this: when you stop answering, when you stop allowing them to waste your time, you're not punishing them. You're protecting yourself. You're giving yourself the freedom to grow, to evolve, and to attract the kind of love, respect, and energy that you truly deserve. If you're finding this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button and comment number 1 to show your support. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more powerful content that will help you reclaim your life, focus on your growth, and stop wasting your energy on the wrong people. You've taken the first step toward true self-respect, and the best part? You're just getting started. Keep your head high, stay focused, and never let anyone steal your energy again. When you look back at your life, what do you see? How many times have you given your time, your love, your attention, and your energy to people who didn't deserve it? How many times have you bent over backward, trying to prove your worth, trying to show that you're enough, and yet it was never quite enough? If you're anything like most people, you've likely found yourself in relationships, friendships, or situations where you kept giving and giving, but all that came back to you was emptiness, disappointment, or heartache. But here's the reality you need to face. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot keep giving to others if you aren't taking care of yourself first. You cannot continue to give someone your energy, your attention, and your love, while they continue to take it for granted. The power, the strength, and the real transformation come when you stop. When you stop chasing, when you stop performing, when you stop handing out your energy to people who don't even recognize your worth. That's when everything changes. When you cut them off, when you go silent, when you choose not to respond to their games. That's when your power comes back to you. That's when you reclaim your energy, your peace, and your purpose. Think about the journey you've been on. How much of your time has been spent trying to get someone to see you, to hear you, to appreciate you? How much of your energy has been given to someone who wasn't worthy of it? We live in a world where people will take what you give them without ever thinking twice. They'll drain you, use you, and leave you with nothing, all while they go on with their lives, indifferent to the damage they've caused. But the moment you stop giving, the moment you cut off that energy supply, everything shifts. Your absence becomes the loudest message you can send. They will feel it. They will wonder where you went, why you're no longer there for them, why you've stopped responding to their messages or seeking their approval. And as much as they might try to come back into your life, you'll realize something incredibly powerful. They're not coming back because they miss you. They're coming back because they miss the energy they were getting from you. They miss the version of themselves that felt validated, important, and seen when they were with you. They miss the attention, the emotional supply, the comfort. But that's not love, my friend. That's emotional dependency. And the moment you understand this, the moment you understand that your energy is sacred and not to be given away to anyone who doesn't appreciate it, that's when your transformation begins. This is where Stoic relationships come into play. In Stoicism, we are taught to focus on what is within our control and let go of what isn't. We cannot control how others behave, how they respond to us, or whether they recognize our worth. But we can control how we react to them. We can control our energy. We can choose not to engage with people who drain us, who disrespect us, who take us for granted. The Stoic mindset is about understanding that we don't need anyone's validation to feel complete. We don't need to prove ourselves to anyone. We simply need to show up for ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to protect our peace, and to make choices that align with our highest values. When you stop giving your energy to people who don't deserve it, you start focusing on yourself. You stop seeking their approval and start looking within for validation. This shift is powerful. It's the shift from being reactive to being proactive. It's the shift from being emotionally dependent on others to being emotionally independent and self-sufficient. You no longer wait for others to recognize your worth. You know it, and that's enough. But here's the catch. The moment you stop seeking validation from others is the moment you start to attract it effortlessly. People will notice. They'll start to feel the void. They'll wonder why they're no longer able to control you, why they're no longer able to feed off your energy. And that's when they'll try to come back. They'll come back with apologies, with excuses, with sweet words, trying to lure you back into their grasp. But the truth is, by the time they realize what they've lost, you will have already moved on to someone better, someone who values you, someone who recognizes your worth. And by that time, you will have built the life you've always dreamed of, one that is full of peace, confidence, and self-respect. The truth is, cutting someone off is not an act of cruelty. It's an act of command. It's you taking back control of your life. It's you refusing to settle for less than you deserve. And that's not a bad thing. It's not selfish. It's necessary. Because the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. If you can't love and respect yourself first, if you can't protect your own energy and value, then no one else will either. The moment you start setting boundaries, the moment you stop allowing others to take advantage of you, the moment you stop seeking validation from people who don't appreciate you, you'll start to see your life transform. You'll begin to attract the right people, the ones who value your energy, who respect your time, and who are willing to give as much as you give. But first, you have to cut off the toxic people who have been draining you. You have to go silent, go focused, and go forward without them. And that's when everything starts to change. This is not just about walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. It's about walking into a new chapter of your life, one where you value yourself more than you value someone else's. Approval. It's about protecting your peace, protecting your energy, and protecting your purpose. Because once you realize how valuable your energy is, you'll never give it away to someone who isn't worthy of it. You'll never let anyone take your peace again. And that's the kind of transformation that leads to a life of true fulfillment. A life where you're no longer at the mercy of others' validation, but instead, you are the one who sets the standard for how you want to be treated. So the next time they come back, don't answer. Don't let them back into your life. Keep moving forward. Keep building. Keep evolving. And remember, your absence is not a punishment to them. It's a blessing to yourself. Keep your energy for the people who deserve it. Keep it for the person who sees your value, who loves you for who you are, and who is ready to pour into you as much as you pour into them. That's the kind of relationship you deserve. That's the kind of life you deserve. And the best part is, you can have it. You just have to decide to stop giving your energy to the wrong people and start giving it to yourself.